You've got mail became one of the most iconic phrases of its time. It's practically the soundtrack of the early internet. Can you tell us the story of You've Got Mail?
Yeah, again, it's really a function of being a very small company. I think at the time we had maybe 30 or 40 employees, and I was trying to figure out ways to, again, make the service friendlier, more approachable. At the time, because the modem speeds, the communication speeds were so low, we couldn't send, kind of any audio over the phone lines, but we could put on the physical disks, the floppy disks, kind of messages. So I said, why don't we add to our software some friendly, welcoming, voices like welcome and you've got mail and things like that. That would seem like we just implant it on our disk, and when somebody signs on, basically the network says,
welcome, you've got mail.
I thought that would be another way to make it seem more friendly, more approachable. And somebody in our customer service center, Karen Edwards, heard me say that, and she said, "Oh, my husband Elwood is a radio guy. He does work at a radio station, has a pretty good radio voice. If you just write down what you want, to put on the software, I'll see if I'll go home tonight and see if he'll do it." So I got a little Post-it note and wrote down 3 or 4 things and gave it to her. And next morning shows up with a little cassette tape, plays it, and Elwood, his voice was perfect. So I told our engineers, add this to the software. It went out in the next version of the software, and a year or two later, Elwood had one of the most famous voices in the world. So again, a kind of an accident, more just kind of musing about some way to improve the product. And somebody happened to overhear me, and she happened to have a husband who had a good radio voice, and it was and that's the story of a lot of the companies we backed, the entrepreneurial journeys that we've seen. That you have a plan, you have a sense of your where you want to go, but you always have to be flexible and agile and curious and kind of trying new things, experimenting new things, talking to new people, just to kind of try new things. And so that was an example of kind of stumbling into an idea that ended up being one of the defining aspects of AOL and those days of the internet.